Hi everybody. I'm going to do this video for my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and whoever else wants to listen. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my grandfather, my father's father, and also I'm going to make some bruschetta because I've got plenty of basil growing out in my herb pot and it's delicious. So I think we'll go ahead and start making the bruschetta. Some people say bruschetta. I say bruschetta. But if you see this hydrangea here, that is kind of an experiment I'm doing. This is not ready to really pick to dry, but it's one of my small limelights, and I want to see how long it'll last in the glass like this because I'm going to do my granddaughter's wedding, my granddaughter Brittany's wedding, September 4th, and I'm hoping that I can use some of these fresh hydrangeas in the bridesmaids' bouquets, along with a couple of roses and with some eucalyptus, seeded eucalyptus, which I love. And then I've got this is wormwood artemisia, and it's not dry yet, and I was going to see how long it stayed without drying. So I'm going to set this over to the side because it might get in my way. And I'm going to first tell you a little about my Pop. We called him Pop. His name was Herschel Brenneman, and we called him Pop, and sometimes we called him Pop Herschel. I don't know why we did, but that's just what we did, and Dad always called him Pop. He was born in 1888, and he died in 1966. He was 78 years old. He never was sick, never really had been to the doctor, and one day he had a lot of pain and they took him in to take out his gallbladder, and he had pancreatic cancer. So he did live 6 months after, but he said he lived long enough. He made up his own funeral and had everything written out, so that was a good thing. And he was a very nice man, very gentle, and my dad was a lot like him. So in 1919, he married my dad's mother, Edna Good, and she only lived for about 18 months after my dad was born, because she was pregnant for my dad's brother, and she had some kind of a tumor, and they were going to remove it, and she had the baby, but they both died. And so then about 7 or 8 years later, Pop married Mary. Her name was Mary Good, and she actually was Edna's first cousin. They were all Mennonites, and she died in 1957. Then he married Nettie, who was from Holmes County, Ohio, Millersburg, and she was one of the nicest people ever. And they were married in 1959 or 60. I don't remember just when. But some of the stories about Pop, he was always a farmer. I don't think he ever worked anyplace else, but he was always helping other farmers out. And farmers today do the same thing. I know they'll help, if farmers have problems, they'll help the other farmer out. And I know they helped build barns and stuff too, kind of like the Amish, but they were Mennonites. And but he liked to make things with wood. And I remember one time my son Randy, he was 4, and Pop took him down in the basement one day, and they made a stool, and we had it for years. But Pop he kept all kinds of records, and here's he and Edna's marriage license, copy of that. And then he also had the bill from the suit and the suit that he bought for their wedding, for Edna and his wedding, and it came to, with everything he bought, was like $35.20. The suit was actually $20. This was in 1917, and then had their first grocery list, and it was a pretty good size grocery list. $6.60, and he has also the bill Well, these are bills from when Edna passed away, the hospital bills. But the Jetting, Hoff and Beckman in Delphus, Ohio, this was their furniture. And I mean, they bought a lot of things, bed, mattress, dressers, everything, and it came to $200 total. So it was kind of fun to see that. And then Pop gave us all a sample of Edna's wedding dress when one time here quite a few years ago, he had a sample of her wedding dress. So it was nice that he did that. Well, I have a couple pictures here of my Pop, Pop Herschel, my grandfather, my dad's father. This is one when it's with my dad. My dad was a little boy. But Pop was a nice looking man. And then this is my dad, Pop Herschel, my great-grandfather, Samuel, and then my sister, Louise. It was like a 4-generation picture, but that's a picture. And the one picture I wanted of Pop and Edna when they got married, I'm unable to find right now, but I'll show you children a picture of them when I find it. I've got it someplace, but we'll find that and then I'll get back with you. But I think now I'm going to go ahead and make my bruschetta, and I've cut up 8 Romas, chopped them up, and then this recipe that I use, it takes a 1/4 cup of or a 1/3 cup of basil chopped, but you know what? I put more in. I've got about 1/2 cup here, and I've got this pair of scissors that chops them up, and it's really nice. It's really handy, and it works really well. I got this for a gift from my daughter-in-law and Randy one year for Christmas, and it works really well. So that's what I'm using to chop up my basil. Whoops, I think I sprayed some out. You just chop it up, and it's really good. With basil, if you get too much and you cut it off, trim it off at the top and have a stem about like that, stick it in water and it'll root really easy. I've got some that I just rooted and I planted it and it's growing very well, but basil loves to be trimmed, and if you really like it, it's good. So then I put the basil in, and then it says a 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. I like to shred my own, but this time I had this and I thought I'll just use it. And I'm gonna, takes a 1/4 cup, but I'm gonna put a little more than a 1/4. This is a 1/2 cup, so I'll put about a 1/3 in. It really makes your bruschetta good, I think. So put that in there, and then excuse me, 2 cloves of garlic minced. Well, I've got one in here. Okay, so I just clean this out of here real quick, and then takes balsamic vinegar. I love the balsamic vinegar in it. Takes a tablespoon. A little more for good measure. I like the balsamic. I also use white balsamic vinegar, which is really good. I like it. I make fried cabbage sometimes, and I like to put the white balsamic vinegar on it. Takes a teaspoon of olive oil, which I usually end up putting more than that. I use the light tasting olive oil, extra light. And then it takes salt and pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Sometimes you have to taste it to see if you need to put more in. Sometimes you do. And then pepper, And who doesn't like pepper? A lot of people don't, but I do. Takes 1/4 teaspoon of that. And then we can mix it up. Here's my big spoon. And it needs to set at least 2 hours before you use it, but right now I'm going to put it on. I toasted some garlic bread, and I'm going to fix a couple of the garlic toast with it on. Here we go. I'll fix a couple, show you how it looks. And it's really good. If you got company or something, it makes a good hors d'oeuvre, especially in the summer. It's very, very good. And it's good for you. Tomatoes are good for you, basil. So I'm just going to put some on. And I know CJ probably won't eat any because he doesn't like fresh tomatoes. There you go. We'll do a couple here. And that's my fresh bruschetta. This piece isn't as big. Okay, there we go. Well, listen, if you want to, you can click and sign me up, and then we'll see you the next time. Bye.